Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Story Points. Um, Today is going to be a very different format than the way we usually do it. And in case you haven't placed my voice yet, I am PK, and I will let the other person introduce himself.
Hey everyone, this is Niraj. I guess this is a different format again, as PK said, right? And to be honest, PK, I'm a little nervous also because the first time I'm showing myself and trying to let me speak on the camera, right? Earlier we used to do it in a studio where things were like closed and we can only see each other, but now our audience are also seeing us.
That's true. That's true. I think one is definitely being seen, not just heard. And what it also means is the audio quality of this and the general quality of this might be different from what you've heard some of our previous episodes, but this is something that we wanted to try. So please let us know if you like it. And with that sort of being called out, I'd want to talk about today's topic because that's even more exciting, or as exciting as the format change. So this is episode number 3 of our learning series, and we've done 2 episodes as of now, and we've touched upon the following topics. We've understood what in general is an LLM and how does it work. We've also then unraveled or unpacked a few terms that are floating around in the internet with respect to LLMs and generative AI. In our previous episode, we talked about what are hallucinations, why do they occur, and how, as a user, we can reduce um, hallucinations using the prompt techniques that we talked about. Today, we're going to be talking about agents and agentic AI. So, Neeraj, let's dive straight in. Can you please help us understand what is an agent?
So AI agents are your software programs that can operate independently to perform specific tasks without needing any human intervention.
Okay, independent tasks without needing you. Can you explain that a bit more with an example, perhaps?
Sure. So far you might have seen software programs getting executed by some intervention, right? Like say some API call coming, and that's generally triggered by a person or system, right? But with agents, it's little different. It's basically triggered by LLMs. So to give an example, let's say that you have this chat application using LLM, and if you ask the chat application, what is the weather going to be tomorrow in Bangalore? Now, this is a very specific question because you're asking about a data which LLM doesn't have because LLM is trained on Bangalore and all the awesome weather and everything. But if you're asking it to what is the weather going to be tomorrow, it cannot answer because it doesn't have any data. Just like human beings, right? If you ask me whether it's going to rain tomorrow, I don't know. But what I'll do is like take my mobile and just check the weather app and I'll let you know. So that's exactly what LLMs do. So what LLM will do is that if LLM is configured with set of tools, and let's say one tool is for a particular weather tool, so internally it calls the weather API,
Right.
gets the data, and then basically tells you, like LLM basically is able to tell you that tomorrow is going to be a little cloudy, so take out your umbrella or whatnot. Again, remember, you need to make sure that LLM is configured with these tools, and it's nothing fancy about it. Like
Got it. Okay. So what I've heard is LLMs by themselves are trained on a certain set of data, which we talked about in our previous episode. And this data is obviously a snapshot of the data available at that point of time, right? Now, when you ask an LLM about a specific question which requires accuracy and updated information, the LLM might find itself short of answering that. Therefore, here come the agents, where they will help you get more accurate results and more up to date results uh, to kind of better the whole uh, task that is being given to it.
again, just to add to that, it also depends whether you have that API data or you have that data or not. For example, if you ask, like, does is alien going to come tomorrow? You also don't know, right? There's no API for giving you that answer also. Again, so it's important to understand the context also. Is this data what you're asking is actually available as a dynamic source of data also?
Right. Right. Yeah. Assuming that the data is available. Makes sense. Okay, cool. So Now let's talk about agentic AI. Now, I, a lot of times get confused about an agent, agentic AI. Help us understand that.
Yeah, I understand why the confusion also comes because of the name, right? Agent and agentic. So it's just like I see different in the word, but it's totally different. Like agentic AI basically refers to advanced artificial intelligence systems that can operate autonomously. It can take decisions, it can take actions, and a minimum like the human intervention is very minimal in that.
Okay, I already thought agents involved very less of humans, but can help me understand more.
So
Um,
just to clarify that thought, right? Like in agents, also human intervention is there because, for example, your weather example, right? Weather API thing, you a human intervened in that because the human wanted to know the weather. That's why the focus was fully on the weather part. So the
okay,
LLM wouldn't do it autonomously in that case.
okay.
But when you talk about an agentic system, right?
Mhm.
Uh, it's completely autonomous.
Okay, can you help us with an example?
Sure.
How?
So I can give you a travel example. Again, very much related because we both work in a travel industry. So let's say that you basically send a particular prompt to the system, like weekend trip from Bangalore to Goa, under 50,000 budget, for example, right? So what happens is that this becomes a goal for the LLM system or the agentic system, I would say in this case. So it will break down and start making a plan. So for someone who is traveling from Bangalore to Goa under a 50,000 budget, what are the things? So very first thing, it will have a list of plan. So it might need to search for flights, accommodation, transport, and all those things, right? So internally, it will also have the tools. Again, just like how we had an agent example, this agentic system will also have a list of tools. So one of the tool may be for the flight search agent, right? So it will use a flight search agent internally to call the flight API, get the prices, and then what happens? It basically stores that in its own memory before even answering you. Then it reiterates over the plan that what is the next step after flight? Oh, I need to search for the accommodation. Then again, it uses some Airbnb or some API to get that data. Again, these are individual agents which is performing now, and then it gets the data, stores in the memory. Then it might look for a transport. So maybe let's say for the transport there are no agents available.
Right,
Okay, so it might refer to a particular knowledge which it was trained. For example, it might have a knowledge that in the past someone traveled from Bangalore to Bangalore airport. It might cost something like 1,500 rupees. So it will have that much of context. And then finally, it will basically have all this information stored in the that point of memory, and then basically to just curate the final answer and give it the itinerary.
got it. So what I'm hearing is the elements that differentiate between an agent and an agentic AI is the elements that associate with planning a particular, to achieve a particular goal that was given probably by the user, and then assessing where we are in the plan. Meanwhile, calling the respective tools and the agents to kind of get the information and eventually presenting it in a holistic manner.
Yeah, yeah. Also, important thing, the reason of the autonomous word over there, right? We
Mhm.
never asked the uh, LLM to call a flight API or call a hotel API or call a transport API. It autonomously took a decision. What we wanted was a itinerary from Bangalore to Goa.
Right. Okay. Okay. So another question that came to me is we talked about the planning and the assessing part, which is sort of very unique to agentic AI systems.
Yeah.
Do these have to be like built in the particular context, or are there like standard planning modules that can be inserted into the agentic AI?
So the flow of what I've seen with agentic is like, they have this particular workflow. You can think of, once a goal is received, then you plan, then you execute, observe and store, then evaluate, and then repeat. Repeat until you're done, your evaluation is done with the final result. Now, this is the workflow. Now, this can be embedded using a lot of frameworks and libraries within the system.
But it's not something that's available as a standard, or you're saying they are.
There are tools available. If you want, I can answer you that. Like there is a tool, something called as Line Graph. So
Okay.
LangGraph is a tool where you can basically just drag and drop whatever agents you want, and that entire workflow as a system might be called as a agentic AI. Again, agentic AIs are very much focused on a particular task. Like if you have this particular agentic AI which is specific only for the travel curation, now if you suddenly go and ask like a particular problem statement for e-commerce,
Mhm.
it might not do a good job because again it is not specific. It was meant for your travel, not for your e-commerce.
So there is a bit of customization that needs to be done to
Yeah,
this particular
yeah,
domain and all of that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And that's why you might have seen like a lot of AI tools which are generic like ChatGPT, right? Which are not customized to a particular domain. But you'll see very few tools like agentic tools which are customized to a particular domain. And because most of the companies end up building their own, or there are tools which can enable you to make it generic also,
Got
but
it.
to that particular domain, not specific to a particular company in that case.
Okay, cool. So, what are some of the use cases? Can we explore a bit of real world
Yeah.
use cases for both agents and agentic AI?
Okay, for agents, I'll give you an example, real life example, which I have experienced. So we, in my company, which is a travel-based company, we have this chatbot trained on our internal data. And, basically, the salespeople used to ask questions to that. This was majorly used for the sales. Like, you can think of a customer requesting something, and the salespeople were using this chatbot to get the answers from it. Everything was working fine, but there was one particular question which was repeated a lot of times, and that question was that customers are very much eager to know how far is this particular point from their hotel. So let's say you're going Barcelona, you're obviously you want to hit the beach, and you don't want a long commute from the beach all the way to the hotel. So this was a very frequent question which the salespeople were getting.
Right,
And what we did in this case is that because obviously LLM will now have no idea that how far your beach and your hotel distance is, but the data is available with Google Maps.
right,
So we kind of integrated an agent which uses Google Maps. So you basically give 2 points that from particular Condolin Beach, my hotel XYZ is here. So can you tell me the distance in it between them? So we created this agent which basically used to calculate distance, and when the prompt was given again, it was able to answer you that the distance between the beach and this is like say 400 meters. So that's a example you can think of for agents.
and agentic AI, I know that self-driving cars is a very
That's one of the
yeah.
biggest example you have.
Help us with that. What are the different elements involved
So
there?
let's say that again, that's something we don't have experience in India here, but let's say that you sit in your car and you want to hit office, right? You want to go to office. You can just like give the instruction to the car, and what it will do is like again it will understand that your car is sitting in a parking lot,
Mhm.
and from there it needs to go to an office. So very first thing it will understand, okay, I need to open the maps, let me calculate the distance, let me find the best route to go to the office, let me also check how much battery or the fuel is there in the car, can I hit this much distance, do I need to halt in between for the fuel, all those combinations it will do. It will also maybe check weather, that is it going to rain, because that might impact some roads.
So this is
And
the
then
planning. This is the planning
this
part.
is a planning. This is a planning. Once the planning is done, then it will say, okay, let me find the route. So it might call Google API to find the route. Once it has the route, it will start the engine. And after that, taking a left, right, following the Google Maps, everything is autonomous. So that is your agentic view.
And also, while we are on this topic, I think something that's even more interesting is when you think about a car, you have a rear mirror, a side mirror, maybe even a top mirror because it's an autonomous car. Now, even in that, there's an agentic sort of AI, right? You'll first get inputs from each of these mirrors or sensors to say, what are the vehicles on the left side of my car? What are the vehicles right side of my car? Then calculate the distance and then see, okay, how much of acceleration should I be able to kind of, yeah,
Yeah, and also to add more things to it, right? Maybe let's say there's an ambulance behind you. So obviously you need to give a pass to that,
right.
right? Or maybe there's a police for some reason you have
And you
to
need to
you have to
stop
stop,
them.
right? Yeah. So these are also like some actions and the actions what agentic AI will take.
Amazing. Okay, cool. What else? What are some other interesting use cases of agentic AI? I'm
I'll give
thinking,
you one interesting use case. Sorry to cut you over there. But have you heard of this Manus, the new AI
Yes,
tool?
the self-fulfilling agent from China.
Yeah. So that's also supposed. I have not uh, used that yet, but that's also completely agentic.
Right, right. Agentic AI, I think, will also find a very large sort of use case in a lot of customer service sort of requests, right? Hey, I want a refund. Then you typically have a planning sort of a set of things that you go check the customer's name and details and all of that. Go get the list of orders, then look at the status, and then figure out whether the status is what they're referring to, then calculate the amount that needs to be refunded, and eventually also initiate the refund.
Yeah,
So,
maybe that again. This is one hard to say whether it's happening or not because it's something happening in the back end, right? You don't have the. And recently, I had a similar experience with Zomato. Like I ordered some food from Zomato, and there was one item missing. And the flow was, I thought that I'll get a call from a customer care or maybe in chat someone will open, but it was just series of questions, and it asked me that what item is missing. I said this item is missing. And the next prompt was like immediately, like, do you want a refund or you want to place another order for this?
yeah,
And I said, I want a refund maybe. And the moment I select a refund, it's done. But my previous experience with Zomato was not something like that. I
yeah,
used to they used to ask me to upload some image for them to verify and whatnot. In a way, I thought this might be using some agentic flow, or maybe this is their just standard way of doing refunds.
yep. I think I've had a similar experience in Instamart as well, where I had to return an item, and just through a couple of chats, they were able to just process my refund or give me the option of saying, "Do you want a refund or a replacement?" And I said, "I want a refund," and it just happened in a few
Yeah.
clicks.
And there's no
So
human being
exactly.
involved.
So if we have Zomato folks and or any folks who can confirm what our hypothesis is, please drop a comment uh, and let us know. And it's a great experience as a user because you're not spending a lot of time waiting for somebody to call you and you having to talk to them. Unless, of course, there'll always be situations where it's a little bit more complex than that, in which case you might want to still talk to a real person.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, I think that's a good uh, point to kind of wrap up this episode on agent and agentic AI. I really hope that the users are now intrigued by this and will want to know more about what agents and agentic AI is. Um, we will come back very soon with another episode on the AI learning series. If you have a specific topic in mind, please do drop a chat. Let us know what you would want us to discuss, and we'll be very happy to do that. Thank you, everyone, for joining the Story Points once again.
Thank you, everyone. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.